What's up, everybody? Welcome to Legendary Talks. Feeling my amazing outfit for the night, all dressed up, nowhere to go. Way ba! How's everybody feeling? I'm very excited to have a very special lady on tonight. She has an amazing voice and she's very unique. Kimberly Nichole is our guest, and she's joining us live from London, which is very cool of her to do. I think it's 4 a.m. or maybe 3 a.m. in London right now. We're going to find out. Hopefully she didn't fall asleep and she'll be joining us. And yeah, just how's everyone doing today? Gearing up for the holiday. I'm having a pop-up, a virtual live pop-up on Sunday, 4 p.m. East Coast, 7 p.m. West Coast. So I'm going to do a virtual pop-up shop. It'll be my first time doing it. I'm kind of excited. So spread the word, tell your friends, that kind of thing. So what's everybody drinking tonight? I'm drinking tequila and soda. Yeah, like I said, Kimberly's joining us from London, which is very cool of her to do, but I hope she didn't fall asleep. She's a really amazing powerhouse, actually, is how I describe her. And I can't wait to chat with her. What's up, guys? How you feeling? Iced tea, you're drinking good. That's just iced tea? It's kind of boring. Is anybody doing anything interesting for the holiday at all? Going anywhere or doing anything? I am going away for a couple days. Oh, Kim's joined. Okay, thank you. Let me ask her. Oh, perfect. She's there. I didn't realize. Perfection. Right on time. In London. Live and direct from London. The legendary Kimberly Nichole. Hi, Boo.
Hi, Damon.
I'm gonna wear my hat like yours. We'll match.
Yes.
How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm so happy to see you.
What time in London?
Say it again.
What time is it in London?
Like 3 a.m.
What I thought. I was like, I hope she didn't fall asleep.
No.
I know.
I've been up. I'm up.
You're a night owl like me. I know that.
Yes. I'm sorry. Say it again.
How are you feeling?
I feel good.
Good. So I think you're familiar with the show. It's Legendary Talks, and I have people that are very important to culture on the show from every, gamut of life, from a stylist to a promoter to a DJ to a singer. So I thought you'd be a great guest.
Thank you for having me.
First question I want to ask you is describe yourself to me, if I didn't know who Kimberly Nichole was.
Shit. The Seattle-born, London-living, Spelman grad, wild child.
Listen, that's good. Great. I like to describe you as you are a real rock star to me. You live it. You are it on stage, but you also live it in real life. You are, you're this little teeny thing with this huge voice, and you're kind of like no one else in your industry to me. You're so your own thing, which is so rare and unique, and you are literally your own thing. You're also kind of like of a different era to me in a lot of ways. You're not of 2020. You're of 1970 or something, which is a great thing, or even the 50s or the 40s. Like you have a bunch of, you're like you're many old souls in one. But my favorite thing is you're about this big, and your voice will literally like blow the roof off. That's one of my favorite things about you. So
yeah, I like that. I always, to your point, I think I'm from the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're from Seattle, which you mentioned. And I like to ask people about, the beginning years, because I feel that, like before we're teenagers, like when we're 9, 10, 11, 12, those are such formative creative years for people, for creatives. How did Seattle influence you creatively?
Well, I grew up in a household that very much was like a black Southern household. My parents are from Northern Louisiana. But one thing that's very unique to me about Seattle and being a black child from Seattle is the grunge movement, which was very influential into like me venturing into rock later on when I got a little older. But as kids, like black kids, there's this radio station called Cube 93. And to get to the black music, you had to listen to the fucking rock, like the white rock. You know what I mean? Like the Nirvanas and the Four Non Blondes and the what is Soundgardens and Alice in Chains. And so I think that was our music. We didn't have like a major soul artist or a hip hop artist besides Sir Mix-a-Lot, which he was years before I was even a kid. But anyway, yes. So it was just, I think that edge of Seattle and that music, the grunge movement, was when I was a kid in the 90s. And that was very heavily influential into who I've become.
Well, it's interesting because I remember Prince mentioning in Minneapolis that the radio stations when he was growing up were playing rock and like R&B together. And I grew up in Detroit, and it wasn't like that. Like, you know, I would say in Detroit, there's two radio stations, the hard rock and then R&B or soul or whatever, you know, like that black radio, basically the black radio station. And you either, to me, you listen to one or the other. I obviously listened to the black radio station, but there was like, you know, there was like the rock or the black radio station. And I remember Prince saying that. And if you think about it, it's reflective so much in his music. His music is kind of, you know, a lot of different things. So, I mean, that makes sense for you as well. So,
yeah. And it's like, this was way, when I was a kid, I didn't know that we were the roots of rock and roll. I didn't know Rosetta Tharpe and how it evolved into that and race records and things of that nature. But, you know, we dug it because, you know, they didn't give a fuck. And I always felt like I was the black girl that really didn't give a fuck. You know what I mean? So I was with it.
First of all, I could see that. Okay, so what's the first, I guess, singer that kind of either, you know, blew your mind or you were like, oh my gosh, like this is just like, this is it, you know, like as a young person?
Man, because my family was so much into church, I will have to say Shirley Caesar really blew me away as a kid.
Right.
I think, like James Brown says in an autobiography, like the black churches were like entertainers and performers are. And I remember it's very vague now, but I remember being a little girl, my mom taking us to a Shirley Caesar concert. Me and my sister were laying down on the chairs on the pews because we were clearly sleepy and bored. But she did Hold My Mule. And I remember her squalling and running around the stage. And I was like in awe of her, like her ability to like pierce and like evoke something. Like she was like in trance or something like that. And I mean, ultimately that's played into me as even a rock singer. Like rock stars do that. They scream and run around the stage.
Well, I think too, again, those kind of really young years, we are such sponges. And I think things like that are so influential, you know, for you to be, I don't know how old you were, maybe 6, 7, 8 years old, that, you know, such a mark on you, and you don't realize at the time, I don't think your parents realize it, maybe the people, you know, like how important those moments will end up being for your whole life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And even now, in 2020, I've been really like being able to reflect on my childhood, and I've been remembering how influential like the black church has been. Like those were the screamers and the showmen. Elvis Presley sat at the back of at the pew in the black church, looking at them carry on. So I think the heart and soul of rock and roll performance is from those preachers and deacons and singers cutting up.
Yep. Sidebar, Joy just joined us, the legendary. I know you love her. Joy, we love you. Both of us love you very much.
You know.
So Kim, what was the first music video that blew your mind? You know, more like, I guess, pop art, mainstream or whatever, you know? I mean, whoever, it doesn't have to be any.
Oh my God. Oh,
not Michael Jackson. I only exclude him because everybody says Michael Jackson. So I want.
I was gonna say him. Shit. You know, maybe.
Could be Whitney Houston. Could be Aretha Franklin. Could be anybody. Anita Baker.
I think Whitney, The Greatest Love of All.
I agree. That video was like. Kind of like, you know, mind blowing, and it was so just amazing for many reasons, you know. And
yeah, it was so glamorous. She was so beautiful, and the little girl watching from the wings. It was oh God, she was just yeah. That's the video.
I think that video was very groundbreaking for the time. I remember it vividly. I remember like her big, huge crystal earrings.
Those earrings, yes.
I remember, like, that stage, everything. I remember it all. Okay, so what's the first time you sang that you remember singing, actually singing? Like not at home, like, like in the church or.
Yeah. I think it was in the Angel Choir at Antioch Missionary Baptist Church in the Central District of Seattle.
How old were you?
Jesus, mommy had us in there's a picture of me singing too. Maybe I was 3 or 4.
Oh, good. Cute. I want to see that picture.
Yeah.
And then, again, as a young person, teenage years, before you kind of went on your own, who do you think influenced you? Who did you look up to or who influenced you? Could be a family member, could be a famous person. Who do you think was one of the main influences during that time for you?
My mom.
Great.
Yeah, she was my mom. She sang in the church. She plays the piano still in the church. So she sang. There's a picture I have of her here when she was younger, very skinny and snatched, and she's singing. And she said people always said I had this big voice, but she also sang in the clubs in this little kind of janky R&B band. But she would always dress up and have on nice ass outfits, and she'd be like, "Baby, show your legs and." Make sure your waist is snatched in and sing your ass off. So my mom was my hero.
So first of all, that's where you get it from, first of all.
Yes.
You moved to New York. Why did you move and when did you move to New York?
I was living in Atlanta after I graduated from Spelman, and I was kind of doing like the underground thing in Atlanta and just singing at open mics and kind of playing with bootleg ass, busted, hole in the wall bands with old motherfuckers singing "A Woman's Gotta Have It" and Mustang Sally and shit like that. You know what you do when you first fucking start out, old ass niggas, old as fuck. Excuse me, sorry, Damon. So
There are no rules.
So one day I went to New York to visit. I can't remember why I went up to New York, but I was visiting, and it was something that resonated in me about New York. I don't know what it was. And I was like, I'm moving to New York.
Well, okay, I want to ask you two questions, but I want to go back. But, for me, when I first met you, I felt that you were a New Yorker. When I first met you, I didn't realize that you weren't. So let's pause that. But how was the Spelman experience for you?
Life-changing. I would not be the woman I am without Spelman. I had never, Seattle, the percentage of Black people is very small, but the Black community was really big when I was growing up. It's kind of dwindling away because a lot of us millennials left. But anyway, but I always wanted to leave and go to Spelman. Spelman was my only choice as far as colleges go. But one thing about it is really like it was a mecca of Black women from all walks of life. Like one of the girls in my dorm room's dad was a rocket scientist from NASA. Lawyers, politician kids. I had never met Black people like that. Like, my friends and us, our parents were working class teachers, construction workers and shit like that. I had never met like a Black girl whose daddy worked for NASA. Yeah. Shit was mind blowing. But then you had the hood bitches. It was just like a plethora. You had the girls that were stripping at Magic City during, when they were off days. And there was the bitches from Brooklyn that went to the parties with razors in their mouth. I never met girls like that. It was life. I loved it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I guess, it shows you there are no limits. It's limitless. It shows you the world's limitless. Yeah, that's great. Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you moved to New York what year?
2008. I drove from Atlanta. I had a little Jeep Wrangler. No, it wasn't Wrangler. It was another one, another kind of Jeep. I drove it all the way from Atlanta to New York, and I moved into my apartment in Harlem on 133rd between Lenox and Adam Clayton Powell.
Shout out to Harlem for so. What was that first year like? Because I would say that first year in New York is defining. It defines you. I say you learn everything you need to know that first year. You can live there for 40 more years after that first year because you learn every single thing you need to know. How was that first year for you?
I hated it.
Tell me why.
It was just, I think I was overwhelmed. And I was like, I'm just going to be here for a couple of years and I'm moving back to Atlanta. And I would go back to Atlanta so often to do little gigs and stuff. But I didn't like it. I wasn't really alone because Brianna was there, Lonnie was there, Jordan was there. But I think it was taking me a minute to get into the hustle and bustle. Everything was so fast. And I had come from Atlanta. The South isn't slow mentally, but they do the little Cadillac laying in the back type movement. New York was a little, so I hated it.
Well, I will say this, the differences between Atlanta, which I love Atlanta very much, by the way. The difference between Atlanta and New York is you could ask someone where, the post office is in Atlanta. They're going to say very slowly, honey, it's over here. It's over here. You're gonna go this way. New Yorkers are gonna be there. There, you know. But then they might walk you there. New Yorkers, they're not mean.
Yeah.
Quick. You mean so?
Yes.
That's what
Yes.
it is.
So it was just a cultural thing.
Yeah, yeah. And then what do you think your first big break was around that time?
Oh God.
I know there's been many, but you know, what do you think? Yeah, that first one that kind of sticks out to you.
I think it was when there was this website called Singers Room, and they had this like photo shoot. We were supposed to be in Vibe magazine. Jesse Boykins recommended me for it. There was a lot of people really rooting for me early on in my career. But anyways, I was a part of this thing called Who's Next or something like that. K. Michelle was a part of it. A girl named Wish. Oh my God, another sister. It was a lot of us a part of it, but I was one of the girls, and then I performed. It was a show in Harlem, and I think that kind of put me on more people's radar. But I was doing the open mic scene, the Eric Robersons at Soul Village scene for a while, but that kind of assisted me a little bit more.
And you know, you said something that like, you know, a lot of people were rooting for you. I believe, you know, myself, people or like someone like me, when I see something that's great, I want to support it and a discussion. And I believe that about a lot of people, especially in New York. I believe that there's people that genuinely want to support things that are good. You mean?
Yeah. So. Yeah. A lot of people really got behind me earlier when I first got to New York. It was like, I just took off, you know?
And then when did you realize that you were a good singer? Could be when you were 6, could be then, you know?
I realized I always knew I could sing, but I was trying to find my voice. And I think I realized that I really was a badass singer when I got to Harlem. It was something happening within me that changed. I lived on Jungle Alley, which was called Jungle Alley during the Harlem Renaissance. Billie Holiday performed in the place next to me. So I felt like there was an ancestral energy doing something to me. And my voice started doing shit I never knew I could do. And I was like, bitch, you really can sing.
That's hilarious. That's so funny. Listen, everything you're saying to me makes so much sense, by the way. I like, you know, I'm like, you know, I'm like, preach, girl, preach. I get it. You mean, wait, so then also, when did you realize that you were successful as a singer? Not just a good singer, you were successful. You know, what moment? There's got to be one moment where you're like, mama, I made it, you know?
It's weird. You know what I think? I think I kind of knew I was on the verge of becoming successful as a singer when I was on the BET Awards for Music Matters in 2011.
Got it. Okay, good. Good moment.
Yeah.
Getting back to Harlem. So, you know, Harlem to me is, I think, the most amazing place on the planet, to be honest. I mean, I can't think of, you know, I'm from Detroit. I love Detroit and Harlem and pretty much nothing else. So my thing is like, Harlem to me is so special, as you know, and so unique and so rich in energy, like you said. You know, walking down I have said for my whole New York life, the New York Fashion Week is on 125th Street, always has been. Walking down 125th, that's the real fashion show. It always has been. You mean? So, you know, like you're saying, you know, I think you performed at the party for me. I think I did one of the closing nights of the Lenox Lounge. Didn't you sing? I don't know. Anyway, you were there. So yes. My point is, you know, things like that. Like when you walk in, you felt that rich 80-year history or whatever it was. You know, like, and you know that there's so many. Like you're saying, there's so much. I don't know, just like cultural energy in Harlem, physically cultural energy that you feel amongst the 9 million other amazing things. But what does Harlem mean to you?
Oh, I remember being a little girl and just knowing about the Harlem Renaissance and like how big the literary and art movement was for Black people there. And I remember only wanting to live in Harlem. I think I looked in a place in Brooklyn. It was kind of cute, but this one apartment, I was about to say flat. I've been in London too long. This one apartment in Harlem, it was on the 4th floor of a walk-up. I stayed there till I moved to London. And it was immediately when I walked in, I was like, this is my apartment. The building looked like shit. It looked like the walls were peeling. But when I walked into this apartment, I was like, this is it. The building was a shit show, but that apartment. So that was kind of a defining moment for Harlem and for Harlem to me. But it's just like, there was a specialness to Harlem. Like Harlem, I know will be the last place I reside in. Like I'm like, my final resting place will be a brownstone on Strivers Row. I want to go to Abyssiniary as an old 80-year-old woman and wear a nice hat on the front pew and be very saved and sanctified after I done had a shit show, sex, drug, and rock and roll life. You know what I mean? But anyway, so Harlem is just so deeply ingrained in my spirit. I feel like you said, you thought I was from New York. I feel like I am Harlem when I'm Harlem's children.
That's true. No, I felt that when I first met you. And then either how did Harlem influence you, or what did you learn from Harlem? What did it teach you?
One thing that Harlem taught me is like the connection of Black people everywhere. Like it felt, as soon as I got there, it felt familiar, like I had always been a part of it. And even when my dad came to visit, he's from the South, he lives in Seattle still. But he was like, and he would wake up and walk around Harlem. He was like, Kim, this feel like home. Yeah. It taught me that the diaspora and Blackness is so round and rich, and it doesn't matter where we go, when we see each other, that's family, you know? Yeah. And Harlem always felt like family. Did
you see, it's on Netflix right now, the 40-Year-Old Version? Have you seen that?
Yes,
so, yes. To me, when she's, like, the relationship she has with the homeless guy across the street, that's so real. Like, I feel like I know that guy too. Like, that's, you know, that to me is very Harlem. It's like, the homeless guy is your friend, the drug dealer is your friend.
Yes!
Like, you know, Harlem is a very special place, as you know.
The whole block. They used to, when I first moved to Harlem, they would call me Grace Jones because I had this short ass Grace Jones. The homies on the block, they knew who the fuck I was. It was like it is. You know everybody.
Okay, so who do you get compared to musically? Because, you know, we know the music industry has to put people in boxes and has to compare everybody. But who do you get compared to? And I guess, like, roll your eyes if you get compared to. Like, you know, people say that I look like Jeremy Scott all the time and somebody else. And I'm just like, depends what kind of mood I'm in if I like that or not. You know, so who do you mainly get compared to? And that you like versus like maybe you're not really into?
I mean, you know, a fortunate thing is people compare me to my heroes. So people say Tina Turner. Some people say like my boldness and raunchiness on stage at the box, have you seen, is like Grace Jones. Some people say I remind them of Nina Simone. You know, people on my wall, which I'm grateful for. So those are, if I feel like there's so many, these are my ancestors and my sheroes. So to be even said, likened to them is like, okay, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So it's usually the greats that people say that I remind them of.
That's interesting because I would say all of those people as well. And it's not to me like you are, you know, imitating them at all or kind of copying them at all. You're yourself, but I see something, you know, in all those people in you as well, which is really interesting. But my point is, like, you know, like I would roll my eyes if like they compared you to like a current pop singer that's on the radio right now. So, you know, like that's just not your thing. So like, you know, my thing is that the music industry box people in so much and you're kind of like unboxable. So I'm sure they have independent.
Yeah. Know? Yeah. I think that's why I've never been signed, because nobody knew what the fuck to do with me.
You've never been signed?
No.
Oh my God, that's crazy. That's actually.
I have had many conversations.
Oh, screw that. Screw them. You mean? And who have you met over the years? I know you've had lengthy, you know, performances and things. Who have you met over the years that you've literally gagged over? You're like, I cannot believe this is happening. You mean?
Man, one person that I completely gagged over was Angela Bassett.
Tell me. I met her a few times. Tell me.
So a couple of years ago, her and Sigil was like, Kim, Tasha Smith, my twin, is coming to London. I live for Tasha and Sis. I love them. I love those girls. And she was like, her and Angela are together. You guys will you take care of her at the box? Child, when I told them motherfuckers at the box Angela Bassett was coming, they were, oh my God, Angela's coming. Freaking out. We got to get her a table. She got to be saying, right, the security has to go out. Blah, 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 blah. And she was lovely. She came up to my dressing room, her and Tasha. I was really gagging. I was like, you know, but they were just being regular. They were like, yeah, girl, come on. So I totally gagged over Angela. Rihanna, gag, she knows my name. Hi, Kim. I'm like,
Rihanna, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think Johnny Depp too.
Good one.
Yeah. I talked to him for 20 minutes one night at the box. Everybody was mad. I said, bitch, I'm black. And I was just singing my ass off on the stage. He made time for my black ass.
Good. And then how did you meet Andre Leon Talley? What's this with that?
Oh God. So in 2010, my mentors Ashford and Simpson, when Nick Ashford was still living, they hosted a showcase for me at the Sugar Bar. They invited all these industry people, and Andre Leon Talley is very dear friends with Nick and Val. So he was there. I performed with my band, and he sat down with me. He went over my whole outfit and told me what it meant. You're wearing a Dior safe shoe and blah blah blah. He's like, you're fabulous, darling. I want you to come to the Vogue offices tomorrow. I'm like, okay. I didn't believe him. The next morning, you bet your bottom dollar, I was at the Vogue offices. Alexander Couture took me into the closet. I tried on the shoes, and then maybe a week later, I was on my Harlem block being shot for Vogue. So.
There you go. No, he's one of those people. I believe that too. You know, when he sees something special, he tries to do everything he can to support it, particularly with Black artists or what you know.
Yeah.
But I really love that about him. He's done that for a lot of people, I think, and he's genuine. He's real with it. You mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So okay, just define Afropunk. Just what define Afropunk? I guess in your terms.
Well, to me, Afropunk, the original Afropunk, was a documentary that talked about Black musicians that were punk artists and following their journey throughout, you know, the punk scene in New York. Yep. And I think other places around the world. I mean, around the U.S. But it's evolved into something bigger, where it's now mainly a festival that kind of caters to Black alternative, Black culture, you know, and the political aspect and beauty and fashion. It's kind of it's revolutionized into this very unique thing that is inspiring.
I agree with all of that. And my thing is, it's one of my top 5 things of the year every year. I've been, I don't know, maybe 8, 9 years in a row. I don't miss it ever. I never miss a period. And it's so special and amazing where you know, the reality is I've only gone with artists. I've never gone like in the, you know, the regular way, but about 3 years in, I ended up in like, let's call it the general admission. I mean this not to sound like I'm bragging. That to me is where it's at. Like, it's so amazing that like, I was just blown away at like, I guess the energy, the style, obviously, and the enthusiasm or something. And it's just, for me, there's so many amazing things, so many reasons I love Afropunk, but kind of being in like the back of the, you know, opposite of the stage where all, you know, the main crowd is so, I don't know, it's like the energy, it's exhilarating. And
yeah. The party is usually outside anyway. As we know, when we're backstage all the time, when you go outside, it's an overwhelming amount of energy. But I was at Afropunk when it used to be in the BAM parking lot in Brooklyn. I remember when I first moved to New York, me and Brianna rode the train to Brooklyn, and we saw CeeLo Green and Janelle Monáe in a parking lot. They had a skate park. And then to see how huge it is now is like, wow.
Well, you know, it's something about it is so special. It's so special to me. I mean, and like I said, I've only gone with artists, but yeah, I see you every year because you are what, the MC? What's your title? The MC?
Yeah, the Matthew and they always call me to come MC. Last year they were like, "Girl, where are you? Come to New York." I said, "Bitch, yeah." So yeah.
We've had some great moments, you and I. Do you remember when Khalees was 7 months pregnant? You were introducing Khalees, and it was her birthday, and I was like, "Kim, I need your help." We've had some great. I mean, I'm with you every year at Afropunk. Basically, I see you
yes, we always see each other. Yes,
and you know, I 1 year wasn't going to go. Gary Clark was performing, and I think it was either raining or it was like one of those muddy situations, and I was like, "I'm not going." And Gary's manager was like, "Damon, we'll put a chair on the stage for you if you come." And I was
listen to you.
I was thinking that today. I'm like, what a bitch. I mean,
no, you're not. No, you're not. You've been doing this too long. It's like, exactly. Thank you for the chair.
So let me ask you a question, and you'll know why I'm asking you. What does Grace Jones mean to you?
Oh, I think she really, it's hard to articulate it. She encompasses what it means to be like a true goddess living unapologetically in who you are. She is avant-garde. She's an innovator. She's Afrofuturism. She's past, present, and future. Before her, there was nobody. After her, there's still nobody. It's like, she's just the pinnacle of divineness to me. And she's a light that shines. She's timeless. Like, everybody copies Grace. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. Everybody.
Well, it's so interesting because I'm looking at you and you have your album here, but I'm looking past you and I also have my album right there, you mean of Grace. And then she's right here behind me, of me and Grace together. And, you know, you and I think agree. I don't think either one of us could like her more than we do. Like, it's not possible, you know? And I was reading this thing about John Paul Good, and he was saying that she basically wanted to do everything the way more difficult way. He's like, there'd be a much easier way to do it. And, you know, she's like, no, I want to do it the other way. And then musically, Nile Rodgers was saying that he worked with her and she wanted to do everything. She wanted to play everything backwards.
Mm.
Goes, why? And she goes, because everybody plays it forward. So she just wanted, she just always has gone against the grain and done it so creatively and with such a like fabulous, I don't know, listen, we can go on forever. We should
And it's like she's serious, but really doesn't take it that serious.
Great. Well then, so she performed at Afropunk, as we know, that year. And Khalees was 7 months pregnant, and it was Khalees, Lauren, then Grace. And actually, Lion Babe, Khalees, Lauren, and Grace, that is my dream like lineup. I'm like, oh girl, listen. So I told Khalees, I remember, I said, she was 7 months pregnant. I said, listen, I'm just letting you know right now, I'm staying for Grace. I know you may get a little tired, whatever, but I am staying for Grace. And she was like, no, I'm totally down. I'm down. You know, she like 2-3 songs in, I could see her getting tired. She just performed. She's almost 8 months pregnant. She looks at me, girl, I'm staying. Like, I love you. I'm staying. And so she left and I stayed. And we sat in front of that front row, and it was like, I lived the best life. That's my best life right there. I mean, so.
Yeah. I saw her for the first time at Roseland, and it was supposed to be a hurricane.
I was there.
You remember? You were there?
I took Khalees. That was her first outing after her first baby. We went there, and then everything got shut down the next day.
Yes. I went by myself. I wore the cowl neck. I was walking down the streets of New York. My back was out, titty, boobage on the side, and I was in the front like this.
No, there's nothing like her live. I'm gonna say one more thing, and then we have to move on because we'll go on for the next hour about her. She played Detroit last year randomly in the middle of the summer. Like, she wasn't even on tour. She just played Detroit, the Masonic Temple. So I flew to Detroit, see my family, saw Grace Jones in the front row, lived my literal best. I love her. I can see her forever. You mean so? I saw Bevy, and Bevy's like, I know you were living your best life at Grace Jones yesterday in Detroit. I'm like, yes, I was. Never really around and have fabulous lives. Okay, we have to stop talking about Grace. So,
yeah.
What's your first memory of me?
Your legendary parties. I don't know, one of my best friends, Lonnie, I don't know how he got us in this party, but he was like, girl, Legendary Damon's having his birthday party. Khalees gonna be there. And we dressed up. I drove my Jeep from Harlem, and we came in. Khalees had on this red outfit, like with a red top hat. And I remember staring. I was like, who is this guy, Legendary Damon? That's my friend. And I had never seen Khalees in real life. And Khalees has just always been a pinnacle to me of like Black alternative fierceness. Yeah. And I was so in awe of seeing her in person for the first time ever in life. And then there you were. I'm like, who the fuck is Legendary Damon?
So it's so funny. My first memory of you, and I was thinking today, I had heard this year, I know exactly that party. So it's a couple years later, and I had heard a lot about you. Everyone kept saying kind of, you had a buzz about you, I say, in Harlem. Kimberly Nichole, this amazing singer, and Damon, you're probably going to like her. So I had heard about you. And we met, I feel like we met at Red Rooster or one of those, you know, on Lenox, one of those bars in Lenox. And I remember, I hadn't heard you sing yet. I met you. And I remember instantly clicking with you, though, like as a person. I'm like, basically, I'm on board already. Like, I like her as an artist. I haven't even heard her sing yet, you know? And then I went to hear you sing, like, in that week or something, and it was like, I was blown away. You know, I was blown the frick away. You are one of my favorite singers to see live. You know, I love Ella Smith, Luke James, and you are my 3 favorite singers to see live. I mean, you are so incredible live. But that was my first memory of you. It's kind of like meeting you and then being blown the frick away. I mean,
thank you, Damon.
Okay, so what else is going on with you currently right now? You're in London. What's going on in London?
So Miss Thing London, we were on lockdown for a whole month in November, and then we got off of lockdown, and then we're now kind of in a level called Tier 3, meaning that nightclub, restaurants, bars, venues, theaters are closed. So now artists, we're back jobless.
Hello. rewind a bit. You were on The Voice. What year was that?
2015.
And then what was that experience like as a whole? Like, what's your, what was that experience like?
Overall, I think I went on there and did what I wanted to go on there and do. Like I would have never went on there if I had to audition, but I basically went straight. I was cast and went straight to the blinds, which I said, bitch, I got a job in New York singing at the box, making good money. I ain't got to do that. But they cast me and I went straight. I said, great, I'll do it. But it was, the politics of it or whatever, it was some bullshit. But for overall, it really helped my career. It's a gift that keeps on giving. I got a gig at the Kennedy Center as the Acid Queen and the Who's Tommy in billing just off of somebody seeing my performance of House of Rising Sun from that. So shit, hey, all right, The Voice.
And then I remember you saying that you and Pharrell kept in contact. You guys remained friends after the show, right?
We did. He really was always rooting for me in my corner and stuff like that. So it was refreshing to be able to still have communication with him after that.
I've known him, and I'm not like bragging, I'm just keeping it in all perspective. I've known him since before he was famous, and he really hasn't changed one bit. Like, I see him, every kind of 3 or 4 years, and he's more and more successful. I used to have to get him in nightclubs. He couldn't get in because, he was like beginning. So, but when I see him, he's still the same person, which is rare. Yeah. What did you learn about yourself from The Voice experience?
That I'm really amazing.
Good. Yes. Oh, I love that. I'm sad it took you that long to realize that, but yes, I hear that.
Right, but it kind of, I was like, oh, bitch, you really that bitch.
There you go, you mean? So, you started The Box what year?
2012.
2012. So, if anyone watching doesn't know what The Box is like this insanely wild New York City, kind of like cabaret nightclub that really is, to me, an ode to New York City in like the 70s or 80s or something. It's like no rules, no holds barred. It's extremely wild for New York in like the 2010 era, like extremely wild. And, you're kind of what, the mistress of ceremonies, or what's your title there?
Yep, mistress of ceremonies.
So you kind of like, MC, sing, and just get the people kind of riled up. What are some of the wild nights or highlight, wildest moments there?
What? Damon! Yo. I have some nights that will go down in history. I've partied hard.
Yeah.
Maybe the wildest night, probably, I'll talk about the show. The wildest night, the show is one of our legendary performers you've seen her, Rosewood. She's a trans woman. She's in her 60s. She's my dad's age. She's 62. And she does this like shit you would never believe on stage. It's, okay, let me go back. I'll tell you the wildest night at the club, the box I've ever had when I first went there for the first time before I got the job. It was in 2011. Me and Brianna and her friend came from another country. He got us into that motherfucker. And we went there, and it was Raven O was emceeing because he's the original MC. And I was like, who is this Hawaiian looking man with these devil horns? And it was girls behind him shaking their titties and dancing, and it was, oh! And then there was a Acantha. She came out, this black Creole goddess, and she was shimmying. And then it was Rosewood. She came out, her wig was matted, and she opened her shirt, and it was titties. And I was like, oh, more titties. Then she took off her skirt, and it was a dick. I said, oh, Babylon. So that, I said, I'll never go back to this club ever again. What the fuck is going on? I was so freaked out. Meanwhile, I got fired from my job at Hugo Box and fucking got a gig there, and the rest is history.
No, I mean, I didn't go there that much before you. I mean, I've been there before, but, you're so synonymous with it in my head. I think that you are such an integral part of it. It's kind of like without you, I think they'd be lost. That's what I really believe. So, but, I think times prior to you being there, but it's so you. I think when I think of the box, I think of you. And when I come there, you always make fun of me because I'm not as drunk as everybody else. That's usually like.
Damon, I remember when you came there one night, you and a friend, and I was like, what are you drinking, Damon? You can have whatever you want. You're like, I don't know. I said, no, really, whatever. You're like, a beer. I said, a beer? What the fuck is in a beer? He's like, girl, I don't drink like that. I was like, oh, okay.
First of all, I think you were mad at me. You were judging me. I'm like,
I was really judging you. I was like, what the fuck you around here with this beer?
You're like, I don't want to hang out with you anymore. Like, sorry. Okay, so why did you move to London exactly? What were you like? What was your motivation for moving to London?
Well, I think after The Voice, I really had like dealt with really bad depression off of that.
Yeah.
And I was so clueless on what to do next. I felt like I had really exhausted myself in New York, and I just was like ready to go. So I was gonna move to LA. I was gonna give up my Harlem apartment, and me and the dog were gonna drive across country and go to LA. And then one of the heads of the box was like, Kim, we really want you to move to London, but I don't want to, damper on your LA plans. I said, what? Fuck LA. I've always wanted to move to London. I'm thinking Tina Turner, great. Josephine Baker, Nina Simone. I'm like, girl, Europe is where it's at for Black bitches like me. So they moved me over here 4 years ago, and I've been here ever since.
Yeah, it's interesting because I remember when you were moving, and I thought it would be sort of a year, maybe like not so long, and I think you really have settled in.
I have.
Yeah, good. I mean, I think it suits you really well.
Yeah.
I want to talk about, remember when you did my birthday party?
Which one? At Queen of the Night at the Diamond Horseshoe?
So would you like to describe, or do you want me to? You can.
What was I singing? Grace Jones, Nightclubbing.
Yes.
And Grace. I had on this red lace dress, and we were walking. What were you on top of?
A tiger. What do you mean, what's on top of?
Yes.
So I'll explain it. I don't. So it was like Damon's cavalcade led by you. You led the way through the venue. You had this red lace on, singing Nightclubbing a la Grace Jones, giving very Grace Jones. And you were kind of leading the way. And then I was being wheeled out on this huge tiger, and I was on top of the tiger, being, this tigress person. And we went through the club as you sang, and it was like, my friend said it best. She goes, oh, Damon's so subtle. So chill.
He does basic shit.
And then will you tell your Patti Smith story? I saw it on your Instagram. It's amazing. How long ago was that? Like 2 years ago?
Yeah. No, maybe 3. So there was this show I was a part of. It was a classical rock. It was like a rock opera where they meshed classical music with opera songs, and classical music and rock songs. So we were practicing for a tour. We went on tour in 2017. I came back for that, and we were rehearsing, and I sang Patti Smith's "Because of the Night" during the show. It was like a mesh. It was a mashup of Romeo and Juliet, the classical, the theme song, and then it went into "Because of the Night." And I was, rehearsing, and some people, everybody in the rehearsals, we were at SIR. Everybody in the rehearsals, they started looking behind me and like in a trance. And I kind of turned around, and it was this old white woman with gray hair, like staring like this. And I'm thinking, who was that? I was like, oh, maybe this is one of the, one of the executives, one of the investors. I didn't fucking know. So I was finished singing. No, I didn't even really finish. One of the creators of the show, Rob Evan, he was like, Kim, that's Patti Smith. I said, what? That's Patti Smith? I said, no. It was she was rehearsing in the next studio for some big fundraiser with Iggy Pop and Brittany Howard and Gary Clark Jr. And she said, Kim, my son was like, somebody's in there singing Because the Night. And she said, I listened a little bit outside the door, and she said, she said some amazing stuff to me. She said, I had never heard my song being sang like that. And that's the best I've ever heard my song ever in life. She said, and I'd never heard a Black woman singing it.
Yeah.
And she said, I was staring at you because I was literally entranced by you. She's the punk laureate, bitch. Nobody can tell me nothing anymore.
But you have it because you have it documented. Someone's videotaping or something. You should post it again, because I remember seeing it and being like, this is so amazing, because you were, innocently rehearsing her song, and she happened to be in the next room and came in the room and was like, this is the most amazing version of. I love that song, by the way, but that's
Yeah.
this version of my song I've ever heard. It's so meant to be. I mean, that's
Yeah.
and then also remember what was the charity? It was like, was it Bon Jovi and all those people? It was in the Hamptons.
Apollo.
Who was it? Who else were you performing with?
The Apollo Theater is the gift that keeps on giving. They believe in my black ass. I'll tell you that. They
Okay.
called me up. They're like, hey, Cam, it was in the summertime, child. They said, hey, Cam, you know, we really trying to add something on with our big Apollo in the Hamptons show. We want to add in like our Stars of Tomorrow segment, and we want to bring in singers to sing with some of the people. Hey, we want you to do a little song with Joe Walsh of the Eagles. You know, we're trying to get him to clear it. I said, oh, okay. And then they said, called again. Hey, Bon Jovi wants to do a duet with you. So you're going to do 2 songs of Bon Jovi. Then you're going to sing with Joe Walsh with the Roots. They sent a car service, me and my best friend Sasha Allen. They picked us up in Harlem. We went up to the Hamptons, had a little kiki, and drove back to Harlem.
But I remember seeing that and texting you. You know, to me, you so belonged there. It didn't look like, you know, you looked like, you know, you were holding court more than them for sure. It was like, it was about you, and these guys were like your accompaniment. You mean?
Yeah.
I saw the photos, the videos and stuff, and I remember thinking, you know, this is exactly where you belong. I told you that, you know, so we talked.
Yeah.
So, you know, I love seeing you in those lights, basically, you know. Who are some of the younger girl singers that you like or younger singers in general that you like right now? It doesn't have to be girl.
I really love Ari Lennox. I love her. There's these twins, Nova Twins. Well, they're not twins. These 2 girls out of London. They're a metal band, a rock metal band. I love them. I love Brittany Howard.
Yep.
I really like Janae Aiko. Am I saying it right?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, you know that baby, her. And I love Jasmine Sullivan.
yeah. Well, Jasmine Sullivan is not a very old soul. You know,
Yeah,
like.
I think because I remember even when I started off, Jasmine was a kid singer. We all knew who Jasmine was. So maybe she's not the younger girl. She's a girl that's been doing it for a while. But I love her too. I like her. H-E-R.
I would consider her younger still, and that makes sense that you would like her because she's in that vein of people that you know and admire as well. She has a very old soul in her, you know. So, and then okay, so a couple of fun questions. What are the 3 best parties you've ever been to in life?
Oh, wow. Damon, this is hard.
Whatever comes to your head, like off the top of your head.
I will say I've done a few of the cruises with the gays, the largest gay cruise in the world with Atlantis. Lit. Okay. Oh my God, Damon, you're one party. I think the party with you and Khalees is one of them.
Right.
Because I had never experienced I didn't understand nightlife in New York yet.
Yep. That's a great introduction. Yeah.
It was a good introduction. I hadn't been turned out yet.
I turned you out.
It was the beginning. And I think the Box's 10-year anniversary in 2017.
Yeah. I wasn't there. I can only imagine. I'm like, you know,
I was dead for 2 days.
I can't even imagine. Who are the 3 best singers in your opinion?
Aretha Franklin, Whitney Houston, and Sarah Vaughan.
Great. That was quick. People usually take a long time to answer that. If you could have 4 people to dinner, living or dead, who would they be?
Jimi Hendrix.
Cool.
Then I'm gonna take him home. Oh, Jimmy. Tina Turner, Grace Jones. One more, and Dave Grohl.
Oh, good. Great. I want to come to that dinner. That sounds fun. Okay, so a couple last questions. What inspires you right now in life? What are you inspired by?
Um, I think, wow, I think hope and faith is inspiring me.
Great, amazing.
Yeah.
Um, what are you grateful for right now in life?
I'm grateful for being sober for 11 months.
Great, congratulations.
Thank you. I'm grateful for, this is so cliche, health and strength.
Good.
I'm grateful to be, still staying afloat despite all of what's happening all of 2020.
Yep, good. Those are great answers. And then finally, like you've mentioned many times, we're artists. Our industry got hit extremely hard. How can we support you right now? What's the way that people watching can support you?
Buy my music, not streaming. Well, you can stream it too, but preferably buying it off of Bandcamp. The link is in my bio. Bandcamp gives artists more of a higher percentage of our earnings, and
Yeah,
they pay us like within 2 days of you purchasing it. So buy my music, tell your friends about me. I do virtual shows. Somebody looking for a bitch to sing, say there's a girl in London named Kimberly Nichole. She can MC a show, she can talk shit, she's funny, and she puts on an outfit and she hollers.
it's true. It's true. I'll post your where to buy your album in my IG as well. Kimberly, I want to thank you, and she'll do things at 4 in the morning, obviously. So I want to thank you so much for doing this. We've been talking for about, I don't know, 2 months about doing this, and I appreciate you doing it at 4 a.m. in London. It seems very fitting that you would do it, of course, at 4 a.m. You're not, 8 o'clock here where we're at, but I'm so glad I got the opportunity to celebrate you and what you've contributed to culture. You are 100% unique, which is a rarity in this day. You live it, you are it, on the stage and off the stage, you're the same person, which is so rare in life. I know so many, people. And, I think your performance and your voice is like nothing I've ever seen. It blows me away every time. And, the fact that you are so unique and so yourself and so rock and roll, but so soul and so all these different things is so special and amazing. And I hope that the entire world, sees it the way that I see it. So
Thank you, Damon. That means so much to me. And thank you for your continued love and brotherhood all of these years, honey. You are an inspiration too. And thank you for being a brother, not an ally, but a brother.
I think you've told me that before. I think you said that before. Yeah. Oh, one more thing before we go. Someone asked the other day, we had this conversation. They said something about like, alliedness and things like that. And they said, do I ever have any issues? And I said, well, I don't feel the need to defend myself because I know exactly who I am. But I said this something and I brought you up. I said, once, it's very rare, but sometimes people do kind of leave comments. And I said, well, I don't ever have to do anything. It's the people that follow me or my friends that handle it for me. You would often someone in my comments for me one time and you handled it for me. It was done. I didn't have to say anything.
Listen, we don't have any questions over on this part.
No, I know. So funny.
I love you, honey. You're an icon. You are a legend, child.
Thank you. I love you. You are a legend as well and an icon. I'm so happy for you and wish you all the success. So
thank you, boo.
I love you.
Take care of my Brianna.
I definitely will. Bye.
Okay, bye.